It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, The Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new show this week. All kind of stuff going on. Some great stuff we'll talk about this week. Got the brand new market numbers in from last month, and they're very, very interesting to say the least. We have a year-over-year decline, but month versus month increase. So we'll talk about that. It's down about 20% year-over-year. We'll talk about kind of what those numbers mean, what's going on. But we did see a little bump last month, which is great news overall with that. And also, we just got a lot of great stuff we'll talk about. We had a few things on last week's show, just didn't get a chance to talk about, but were very, very interesting. One of those is Myrtle Beach being named one of the fastest or top markets for increase in prices over the next 12 months. We'll talk about that coming at number 8 on the list of the top 400, which is pretty cool. So we'll talk about that, some growth. We've been showing up in a lot of places and as one of America's top performing cities. And so it's just great news for everyone here as a homeowner, for everyone here as a resident, visitor. Obviously, I was born and raised here, whole family did real estate here. And it's just great to see that. And it's great news for everyone's home equity. So we'll talk about that, what that means for real estate overall. We'll talk about 3 reasons to sell your home or investment property this season. I had that on last week's show, just didn't get a chance to get to it. But just a lot of stuff. We're coming into that summer month. School's out, big festival weekend this weekend, and people are in town buying like crazy. Our team's been working around the clock. Tons of buyers coming in. We've been talking to for months and months and months, and we find that they're combining their home search with their vacation. They come in town, look at some stuff first couple of days, and we'll just kind of talk about what's going on there. Also, some amazing success stories. Our team's been absolutely crushing it. We just set another record in market common for highest price per square foot. If you remember, 4 or 5 weeks ago, we did that previously, and we just did it again in market common, which is awesome. We sold the property for $75,000 over what we thought was even possible, and did it instantly within basically 2 days. Cash offer, no contingencies. We'll talk about that story, how we did it, what's going on with that. Our team is looking to expand to the summer market. We have tons and tons of buyers from all across the country and globe coming in town. We're looking for A players. We'll talk about that on today's show as well.
All right, a lot of stuff to get to. If you just tuned in for the very first time and you're not sure who you're listening to or what you're listening to, it's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show, hosted by, of course, Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan has been called the Real Estate Whiz Kid. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, and other national publications. You've maybe seen him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and Friends, the morning show. You've heard the personal endorsements here by Sean Hannity, also Barbara Corcoran, Gary LaVox. Put them all together, it's just totally unprecedented. Now, that's one thing. But the other thing is that Blake has trademark systems for both home sellers and home buyers. They are trademarked, so we can't give you all the details, but more than happy every week to tell you the most important part of that system.
Yes, and the whole reason behind the show is really kind of because of this, and just doing this for so long and so many years. I was looking recently, I got licensed initially in 2001. Did real estate full time in 2005, and just looking at all this stuff, I see horror story after horror story after horror story, week after week. Even this week alone, we had someone who had wanted a quick thing. They had talked to some investors. They signed this contract for their house on some wholesaler, which means they're basically like a pretend investor. They don't have any plans to really buy your house. They're trying to lock it at a low price. You don't know that as a consumer. They're telling you they're going to buy it, but if you read the contract, it has a lot of fine print, lets you out of it, and they're trying to flip that contract to someone else, and so. In essence, they'll lock it in $100,000. They'll sell it to somebody else for $150,000, and they make the difference on that, which is basically just taking your hard-earned equity. We had an example this week. Some people came to us. They had talked to someone they thought was an investor. It was actually a wholesaler. Person had basically talked them into signing something for $120,000, and the guy didn't close, didn't come through, and thankfully came to us. We had it under contract within 2 weeks for $240,000. So they were locked in at $120,000. They thought that's what their house was worth. Thankfully, referred to us, came to us. We had it within 2 weeks at $240,000. You're talking $120,000 extra equity that was basically going to be stolen from them. That's how I view it as a professional. The person wasn't licensed. And so there's just so much you have to watch out for. And the same thing here with a lot of realtors too right now. As the market is shifting, it's a different ballgame. And so when the market was hot, right, and there's a frenzy, everybody could be good at real estate. You have your friend just got their license. They put some cell phone photos on the online and property sell. That's not the case anymore as the market has dropped 30%. 20% based on looking at what month you're in. So here's the deal. The whole reason we do this show is to explain one thing. That thing is the single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller. Comes down to one thing only. That thing is the agent you choose, period. Not your wall color, not your grass quality. It comes down to the agent you choose and actually how they actually execute from A to Z. And what most people don't realize, there's a lot to get the house sold. And there's actually 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, guess what that does? Puts money in your pocket, property to get sold. If anything's handled incorrectly, and that could be anything from the price strategy, the quality of photos, the order of the photos. Does your agent answer the telephone? Does the agent actually get a for sale sign? We've seen a lot of agents, they can't even afford a for sale sign, so they didn't put one out there. But if you test most agents, and probably some of y'all have, if you call the agent on the sign, what happens? They don't answer the phone. Why? They're too busy doing something else. And so there's so many nuances. Like, do they market online? Do they respond to web leads? If they do respond to web leads, how quickly do they respond? And all these things happen that make or break the home sale. What most people do, they spend 20, 30 years building hard-earned equity and spend 15 minutes picking an agent. And what happens, it costs them $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in the back end. And so what we realized is that there had to be a better way. And so, like I mentioned, I grew up in the business. Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, everyone sold real estate. I grew up in the office and I watched and just learned and said, look, I can do this. And very, very fascinated with business my entire life and just a student of business. And got in and realized that most agents operate the same exact way, right? You had a big box store. That's where I started at Coldwell Banker, then Remax. And there was us. It was me versus, and there's 200 other agents there. And I didn't care about them. They didn't care about me. And what you found is most agents, they got a listing, just did the 3 Ps. They promised the world to get the listing. Number 2, they put it to MLS. And 3, they just prayed that someone else brought a buyer. And the MLS, they split the commission and they were happy with that. But what happened was, it's not really giving the client on the consumer end the best experience. And they're not getting the household most of the time unless it's a super hot market. And even then it leaves money on the table. And so I said, look, there's got to be a better way. And so what we did was we mapped out the entire process. And I looked at what people did outside of real estate and said, hey, how do we have systems and processes and have predictable results in real estate like they do outside of real estate? And that's what we did. We sought out and we mapped out all those 118 different variables. And we created 2 main things: a team and technology to allow us to manage those variables proactively. So we create small gaps at each one. And at the end, what it does is we manage all those 118 different variables, which most agents don't even know what they are. They're just kind of winging it. And we manage those with precision. And by the end, those small gaps create a massive gap for us and give our client a huge competitive advantage. So I designed this system. It's called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. It's proven, repeatable. It's exclusive to us here in Myrtle Beach. I designed it. We do license it to other agents, other parts of the country, but it works very, very, very well. When you're dealing with your largest asset, you want the absolute best, but you want somebody who has a plan, who has a system, has a process. And so the reality is, the average agent in the marketplace sells 4 homes a year. There's not a whole lot of money to eat with, not much money to pay their mortgage with, much less spend on marketing on your behalf, which is why you see so many properties fail to sell, or they fail to sell what they're actually worth because they're just way marketed. They're put online. They're not done the correct way. And so it costs the client a lot of money. And so it's the same thing on the buy side, right? You want some experience. So on the buy side, we create this thing called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives priority access to foreclosures, distress deals, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as the home inspection to get you to that closing table with the advantage every single time. And it makes a big difference. I talk about this all the time. I really try to find new ways to explain it because it's so crazy to me how people don't take time to really research and pick the right agent. They don't even know the right variables on how to pick an agent. Are they nice? Are they friendly? The lowest commission? Right? You want the absolute best, most aggressive. And I always say this: if you're charged with a crime you didn't commit, the last thing you want to do is represent yourself. And the last thing you want to do is hire some part-time attorney who's only tried a few cases, right? You want the absolute best, most aggressive attorney who specializes in that type of law. You should demand that same level of excellence for your largest assets. And so that's what we're here for. And that's what really our cause is in this industry. And so the main reason to this show is to let you know, look, the single most important variable that determines your failure or success in selling your home comes down to the agent. And so make sure you learn about that, dig into that, because it comes down to $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 extra in your pocket every single time.
So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home right now, every detail means dollars, and who you hire to negotiate your home, that really matters. Hey, Sean Hannity here, and as an active investor who invests in real estate all across the great country of ours, I want the best negotiator representing my interests. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. He can help you navigate through multiple cash offers, and more importantly, he has turned complicated situations into 5-star reviews. Now check out his rave reviews on Google. Talk to him yourself. If you are on trial with big money at stake, you would want a seasoned negotiator with thousands of victories. If they will take you on and you can afford them, right? Well, your home deserves the best representation. Know your options, see how much demand your home can command in this market right now, and get the best representation that you deserve. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD, or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sales, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in a time crunch, you can agree to sell it by a certain date, take after a home, or even rent it.
That's great. And if the seller has a big mortgage,
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show market update. That's my favorite part. I just keep a pulse on this and really have one main goal with this show is just to help keep you updated on the market so you can make better decisions with your assets. Your largest assets for most people is their real estate. And so my job is the same thing we do with our clients to say, look, how do we use data information to help you make better decisions? So that's what we've been doing this show for 14 plus years. And it's really interesting to kind of watch. And we watch two main types of numbers. If you're a new listener, there's two types of numbers, right? We have I call them the front windshield numbers. That's like what's happening in front of us. It's going to help me know what's going to happen from a closing standpoint, 30, 60 days. And I call them the other ones, the rear view mirror numbers. That's what everyone uses, which is like, hey, what closed last month? And you're able to use that. And that's what really the major markets use, and everybody kind of uses that. But I like to have a real-time pulse. And so if you look at the weekly, I like to track every day, every 7 days, the previous 7 days, how many properties went under contract, and then what the volume was, because it allows me to predict what's going to happen from a closing standpoint. So it allows us sometimes to be more aggressive with our clients in terms of pricing strategy. So you always want to know that data. And so looking here, if the last 7 days been 556 properties went under contract for $209,666,000, which is awesome. So anytime you're over 200 million, it's rock and roll. And I was a little worried because rates skyrocketed a couple weeks ago from the debt ceiling issue. Is up over 7%. They're back down below 7 now, which has really been helpful. But great news. Look at last week's show, for example. There were 613 properties under contract. This week, 556. Last week's show, 214 million. This week, 209 million. So it's coming off the heels of rates coming back down a little bit. But anytime we're over 200 million is great news for us here, because it means a lot of properties getting sold in any 1 week, aka 7-day period. 14 properties over $1 million under contract, which is great, versus last week's show, only 8 properties over $1 million. This week, 93 properties over 500,000. Last week's show, 89 properties over 500,000. We've seen a lot more higher end properties moving. If you can tell, average and median sales prices jumped up too just in the last week. Because like I mentioned, this week 556 properties for 209 million. Last week 613 for 214 million. You can see the volume went up from a price per unit standpoint there, which is great news. And so we know Myrtle Beach is a seasonal marketplace for anything and everything. I always joke, remember growing up here in the wintertime, the red lights will flash yellow. And now it's more of a season, more of a year-round destination. But from a real estate standpoint, the market really hits hard in the summertime. And so if you're thinking about selling, you want to take advantage of that seasonality and tee it up at the right time when everyone's coming in town. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people that we've seen buyers online have been stalking for months and months and months. They combine their home purchase with their vacation, and they come in, buy something. And obviously, we see that happen all the time. And so that's the overall front windshield numbers. Looking at the rear view, like, hey, this is what happened. This is what closed last month. Now, here's the thing to remember. If it closed last month, it went under contract 30 to 60 days prior to that. And so that's just something to kind of watch out for. But it's what kind of everybody uses. You look at the year versus year numbers. So if you single family homes, which at most everyone kind of owns and talks about, that's the biggest one we get the questions most, is like single family resale homes. So your home that you own, you're selling it right now. Last month sales are down 20.1% from the same month last year. And so 489 properties closed last month in that scenario, which obviously is the month of May. If you go to last year, 612. Obviously, that has a big deal with the rates. It climbed up since last year. If you look at month versus month, that was up about 13%, which is awesome. So in April, 427 properties. In May, 489. So it did jump back up, which is great news. And you're coming into that seasonality, but we're seeing that probably bump up a little bit this month as long as rates don't get too high as well. Sales price. Median sales price back up again. The median price, $379,900, which is awesome. It's tied with our peak highest price of last year at $380,000. So right there on the verge of a new record. Average sale price up 1.9% from last year, and it's down month versus month. So $483,000 right now for average sale price, which is still just crazy to me. Last month was $496,000. This month $483,000, and it's just crazy for Myrtle Beach to have an average sale price of $500,000, which is amazing for so many homeowners out there. Lots of extra equity. What we're finding is a lot of the homeowners out there have a lot more equity than they think they do. And obviously that's true in that situation we mentioned earlier. I'll talk about more. The people had that investor wholesaler locked them in at 120, and they actually resold it for 240 in 2 weeks. And so you probably want to make sure that you always check with a true professional, even versus the online stuff online. We can get a much more accurate number because supply and demand is a lot different right now. One of the biggest challenges we're running into is supply. Very, very, very low right now. 2.6 months inventory. Last month was 2.7 months, so it is down a little bit from terms of what's happening out there. And just anything less than 6 months is a seller's market, meaning the seller has the advantage, and we're half of that, right? 2.6 months. So that means it's pretty much still a super seller's market. So we'll keep kind of watching that and see what's going on overall as well. We're seeing a lot more showings come in. Right now, we're seeing about 5.1 showings per listing in the entire MLS, which is good news. And that just means the summer market is here. Into condos, looking at condo sales, they're actually down 18% from the same time last year. 516 condo sales, and it's flat with the month before. So in April, 514 sales, May, 516 sales. But the good news, price is still going through the roof. Another record for average sale price for condos, up $286,331. Just crazy. If you want to look back, just in February 2021, the overall average sale price was $179. Now we're at $286, which is just crazy. Median price right now, another record in median price, $249,900, up 4.1%. From last month. And it's really cool. If you look at just in February this year, median price for condos was $213,000. Right now, $249,000. It's climbed up every single month. And that also has to do with just low inventory. It's 2.7 months. Our team's been talking about this a lot. We're seeing a lot of buyers who were wanting single families initially. They waited too long. They've gotten priced out of the market. And so they're having to move more so to condos. We've seen a lot more move more inland. And we've also seen people looking at land to be able to build something there as well. And so it's very, very interesting to watch that dynamic and kind of watch condos go through the roof because it just has a lot more affordability. We're seeing people who were wanting single families move to condos. And so we're selling a lot of both of those based on what's going on as well. And so that's great news for obviously both of those. I do think we'll probably see a great summer here, as long as rates stay pretty tame. Speaking of interest rates, right now, 30-year fixed rate, 6.9%, which is awesome. Last week's show, it was 7.12. And so I've done that threshold from I call it the pain threshold. A lot of buyers do pump the brakes once it gets 7 or above. But right now, still rock and roll. Like I said, $200+ million last 7 days on the contract. A 15-year fixed rate right now, 6.29%. A 30-year jumbo loan, 6.67%. A 5-year adjust rate mortgage, 6.90. 30-year FHA, 6.58. And a 30-year VA, 6.57%, which is awesome. And so it's still a great opportunity. If you're thinking about buying, definitely want to take advantage of rates right now. We're seeing a lot of people lock in because the market's not quite as crazy. Last year, you're going against 12, 13, 14 offers, sometimes going 40, 50,000 over asking price. Now's a great time to buy as a buyer. And if you need to, what we've seen a lot of buyers do is locking that price in. They're refinancing later on in the future if rates do go down. And that's one thing we've seen a lot of buyers take advantage of. So we'll take a quick break, right back in a second with a hot buyer alert here.
WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools in marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
Totally true, Clay.
Still have about 9 minutes left.
Perfect. That's work. Perfect. Thank you.
Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know when your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with 2 mortgages.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 5-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's show Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Hot buyers alert. My team and I are working ridiculous amount of home buyers looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach Grand Strand area from $250,000 to $4.4 million. If you're thinking about selling, reach out, contact us immediately. 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. One of the things we've been doing for many, many years now is putting our money where our mouth is, right? Most agents don't even start marketing their house until they put the for sale sign in the yard. Then they start to go to work with us. We have a very unique business model. That's what got us featured in Forbes and Wall Street Journal. Is I really kind of flipped the business model upside down. We have this hybrid team brokerage, and so we have a team of buyer specialists, team of seller specialists. Everyone really is a specialist versus a generalist. Like I mentioned, when I was back at the big box store, so to speak, when I started out, it was me and 200 other agents. I didn't care about them. They didn't care about me. They were actually mad when I got a listing because they wanted the listing, right? They weren't really focused on selling that. And so with us, we have a very, very specific team model and spend tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars every month driving traffic from all over the globe, specifically lots of buyers. And so we've been sharing this overall every week and say, look, here's our active buyer count. We do need properties. Like I mentioned, inventory is very, very, very low. And we have a tremendous amount of buyers. And so we share it every week on the show. Been doing this for years. Right now, active buyers that we have on my website, on the back end, they have a username, password, account. They're searching properties actively. 72,418 active home buyers and 72,418 active home buyers. Like right now on the site, I got Kevin Davis from Mount Crogan, South Carolina. I was born and raised here. I've never even heard of Mount Crogan, South Carolina. I got Keith King from Statesville, North Carolina. I got Rob Rada from Bronx, New York. I got Mike from Waterbury, Connecticut. Tommy from Greenville, South Carolina. Craig from Rochester, New York. These are searching real time, like right now on the site. I got Staten Island, New York, Bel Air, Maryland, Somerset, New Jersey, Altona, PA, East Elmhurst, New York. I got Ohio. So all over the place. And so we spend a tremendous amount of money. Specifically, we target the Northeast because I noticed back, that was like 2006 and 7. I was an early adopter of pay-per-click, a lot of internet marketing. They used to make fun of me when I was at Remax and call me the internet kid. And boy, have things changed since then. So the reality is what we did was I found out and I kind of figured out with this pattern that everyone from the Northeast saw a lot of value in what we have from a pricing standpoint, right? They're selling something up there, $1 million or 800,000, buying something here at that time, average sale price is like 250. I'm like, man, really on something. So we started geo-targeting based on their IP location of their, where their internet device was. And we started serving ads to them and it worked very, very, very well. And so that's why a lot of our buyer clients we have from the Northeast been doing that for years and years and years. They see lots of value in it. And that works very, very well for our sellers. And so like I mentioned, we need inventory. If you're thinking about selling, reach out to us and always ask, hey, what makes you different? Is not spending tens and tens of thousands of dollars every month generating buyers from across the globe that we have. And we have technology we develop that takes any new listing, aka your house, and it instantly reverse engineers the most likely buyer for your property based on their previous search patterns. And it scores them from 1 to 100. And so we put your property in, we click the button and it scores them. And it'll tell me who's a 99% match, 98% match. And what we do is we put them in a list. It instantly does it for you. Click a couple buttons and it puts them into a phone dialer and we call them and say, hey, John, saw your online search. You got a brand new listing. It matches exactly what you're looking for. Do you want to take a look at it? And of course, they say yes, because guess what? It's exactly what they wanted. And so it's very, very powerful for us. And so it's so much different than most agents out there who are just putting a sign in the yard and then they start marketing, right? We've been doing it for months and months and months, years and years and years before you ever pick up that telephone to call us. And that's how we sell properties faster and for more money. Oh yeah, on top of that, we have a team of specialists, 30 plus buyers agents that are on the phones all day, every day. We're averaging right now 16,000 phone calls per week that we're reaching out to buyers and bringing them to our sellers. And obviously we don't have a seller that matches that. Then we take them to MLS, but we do try to match them with our sellers first. Why is that? Because I'm in business to make money, right? That's what we're hired to do by you. And it works very, very, very well for us and also for our clients. And so if you're thinking about selling, you come across anybody this weekend that mentions they're going to sell or they smell like they might sell something, say, look, you got to call my buddy Blake. Call him, put my number in your phone, 843-808-SOLD. We'll make sure we take care of that as well. And so one of the cool things we're really proud of too is awesome success story. This is a big shout out. One of our past clients who's also a friend of mine from being a client, owned a big AC company, air conditioning company, sold that out. We've sold properties, his commercial property, his previous house, his daughter's house, his mom's house. And he came back to us. His name's Michael, past client of ours. They made a decision to sell their house in Market Common. He'd had such great success in the past that he came, obviously came right back to us, which is very, very awesome. And we met with him, created a strategy, and we went very, very, very high in terms of what our price strategy was, almost 100,000 above what anything else similar has sold for. Designed a custom plan because he wasn't in a huge hurry, and he said, look, he knows how our marketing program works. We said, look, we'll try it higher. Here's how it works. Sometimes we hit a grand slam. Sometimes we don't with it. We launched our program, designed a custom marketing plan, launched a global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual reality walkthrough, nailed it. Within a couple of days, had an all cash as is offer that set the highest price per square foot for any home ever sold in Market Commons. And now Michael and his family can move on with their future plans, which is awesome. Moving to another property they already own in Market Common as well. And so putting so much more extra cash. And this one, it netted $75,000 more than both of us thought possible. And it comes down to having a system and a process that launches these properties the right way to the right amount of buyers to be able to get that exposure needed to bring them in. So big shout out to him as well. And one thing I want to talk about too, like this said, is this other story we had is a wholesaler. The client came to us, the person was kind of jerking them around and trying to renegotiate and all this stuff. And we found out they had their property locked under the wholesale contract. If you read the wholesale contract, basically it says, I want to buy it. It's a one-page simple thing, but it has all this fine print that most average sellers don't know to read and look for, that they can back out anytime up to the day of closing. Well, the person has no intention of ever closing it. They're just trying to tie your property up so they can try to flip that contract to someone else, right? For $120,000, we were blown away at this and said, look, we can get you $240, sell it quickly. They were wanting it sold quickly and they wanted convenience, right? And so we're like, what if there's a better way? We have this hybrid type model. We also buy properties. In this case, we are able to take it to market. It's perfect for what we wanted to do. Had it under contract like less than 2 weeks for $240,000. So in that instance, right, put $120,000 extra dollars in their pocket just by coming to us and using an agent. That wholesaler person, right, they're not licensed. They're no one really, has to regulate them. And so don't give your hard equity. Don't let your friends and family do that. Just make sure we can make it convenient, easy for you and put a lot of extra money in your pocket, but make sure you're not gambling with your largest asset. And so that's just a crazy story I want to share. I won't get too detailed or names or anything, but here's the last one. I got 2 minutes left. This is really cool. This is a big article. It says where Zillow expects regional home prices to head between April 2023, April 2024 among the nation's 400 largest markets. 37 of those are forecast to jump by at least 7%. Number one, Sevierville, Tennessee, right? Next one, Columbia, Maryland, Tacoma, Tennessee. And check this out. At number 8, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which is super awesome. Come there. They're predicting the next 12 months, 7.8% increase in prices, which is awesome. But for us to be featured there in the top 400 largest markets, and we're being up there at number 8, which is super, super cool. And it breaks them down by like what the overall percentage is. The highest, Sevierville, Tennessee, which is Nashville area. Columbia, Maryland, Tacoma, Tennessee, not exactly sure where that is. Show Low, Arizona, coming at 9.4%. Sebring, Florida, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, Knoxville, Tennessee, and then Myrtle Beach at number 8, which is awesome, followed by Topeka, Kansas. So overall, great news for homeowners out there. If you're thinking about selling, make sure you share information with your friends, family, with us. If you have any questions, reach out to us on our website. You just go to blakesloan.com or sloanrealtygroup.net. Anytime, we're here to serve you any way that you may have. We got 1 more minute left too. One thing I'll just talk about, which is super cool, another article which came out, which we've been in the news big time. Myrtle Beach is one of the best performing cities. And the question is why. This came on Yahoo Finance, which is awesome. And this all goes down to what my property value is, right? So it just talks about Myrtle Beach has a dominant hospitality sector and rapidly growing high-tech realm. As propelled Myrtle Beach is one of America's top performing cities, a new major study shows, which is awesome. And so it said that momentum will likely continue in the coming years as waves of people continue settling down in South Carolina's fastest growing region. Super, super awesome to see that. But what that means is home values continue to rise. Investments are performing very, very well, both single family, multifamily. And so if you need any help and need a true expert to help guide you through that, give us a call anytime, 843-808-SOLD or blakesloan.com anytime. See you back here next week.